Welcome back to Master Docker series. In this particular session, we'll discuss about a product or tool called Portainer, and I'm planning to cover this tool in multiple parts. The reason I want to cover it in multiple parts, Portainer can be very useful when you want to manage a set of Docker machines running containers, or even it can manage a set of Kubernetes nodes, and it can also be useful to manage your containers which are running in public cloud platform like Azure. Okay, I want to show you a clear demo on each of these categories. So we'll start with the basic aspect. When you have a lot of containers running on multiple Docker hosts, you have a lot of challenges ahead. I'll explain the challenges and I'll let you know how Portainer is going to help you with simplifying the container management, and also how Portainer can help you adopt the containerization technology very quickly. So maybe a quick recap from the previous sessions. Okay, you might have already understood that few years back we used to have very big application for your businesses. For if you take online shopping service or the shopping application, it used to be a very big monolithic application. It will be a very big application having all these components: the account management, the product management, cart, order management, your shipping. Everything used to be in one particular application, and all of them will be on a backend database. So even like 10-15 years back, we used to have 3-tier applications. We used to have web application and database, but still it will be one huge database, one monolithic application, and we'll have a lot of challenges in maintaining it. And in the recent past, a lot of development has taken a different architecture where development have started taking shape. Like monolithic application have got split into multiple microservices. Like for example, this is a separate microservice, product management is a separate microservice, cart is a microservice, and we have started having different microservice for each of your application as well as for your database. Now you have a lot of database variant and varieties. You can choose whatever database is best suitable for your application. So now the takeaway from this slide and the next slide, applications has been broken into a lot of microservices. And when we say microservices, all these are not running on virtual machines anymore. So they have started running it on containers, and the very popular technology in the containerized landscape is Docker. And if you take a Docker host, it will have multiple containers running services for location management, marketing, basket, ordering, catalog, and identity, and so on. So you'll have a lot of containers, images, network configuration, volumes, and a lot of other stuffs. Okay. Similarly, like I'm just taking an example where which is very closer to us. So we have been doing a lot of online shopping after the pandemic, and even in the recent past, we have been using a lot of Uber and other cab renting services. So here, earlier, if you take an application like Uber or the other car rental services, they used to have one big application before, one monolithic application. Now they have subdivided them into multiple small microservices. So each of these listed here is a separate application, separate microservice, and each of them will have its own backend database and its own variety of database. So all these are currently running as a container, and it can be any container runtime, it can be any container engine hosting it. But the takeaway is like everything has been broken, or all the application has been subdivided into smaller microservices, and we have a lot of applications running on containerized workload now. So if you go to the environment, if you just have a look on one particular Docker host, if you go and say Docker images or Docker image ls, you can see that there is a huge image that are there in here. Even though the sizes are like 400 MB, 100 MB, 50 MB, and so on, if this gets accumulated, there will be a lot of sprawling. When I say sprawling, a lot of unwanted contents will start getting accumulated. Similarly, if you just say Docker container ls, you can see a lot of containers are running. And if you ask me like whether all these containers are really needed, I might have to do a go and do a due diligence check and then come back and say like whether it is really needed or not. For example, some of them are up for last 43 hours, some of them are up for the last 22 days, and so on, right? And we really don't know now whether it is really needed. I can show you something here. If I just go and say Docker info, it can give us some more information, like what are the containers which are actually running, which ones are stopped, how many images are there in my system. So this has got a lot of different things. If I say Docker network ls, so there is a lot of network in my system also. There is a lot of virtual network adapter. Even if I say Docker volume, there should be a lot of volumes as well. So this is just one particular Docker host. If you take hundreds or thousands of Docker hosts in your company, in your organization, think about these kind of proliferation. So too much of volumes, too much of images, too many containers running around, and you need some tool to help you to simplify the cleaning up, or to understand how the containers are efficiently used, or how the space is being utilized. So you need to have a centralized mechanism or a tool which can help you simplify all these container management. So definitely with the latest microservices evolution, containers are getting deployed like anything. So thousands and thousands of containers are being deployed, and the proliferation is inevitable. So it will definitely grow as enormous. So the tool Portainer, it's a very powerful tool. It doesn't stop helping you with accelerating the container adoption. It also helps you with reducing the operational complexity. See, if you're part of an operational team, your primary challenge will be to go and clean up the unwanted space, unwanted images, unwanted containers, and just avoid having unnecessary ports open from those particular systems, and unnecessary security challenges coming out of those legacy systems, and so on. So your containers can run anywhere. It can be running on your own on-premises OpenShift, or you can run your containers on Nomad, or Docker, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, or even in public cloud platform, AWS, DigitalOcean, Azure, and so on. But this particular Portainer tool, it's a GUI based tool where you will get a beautiful dashboard view of all these systems in one central location. Okay, I'll show you how to install it. It is going to be a live demo session. You're going to understand how to install Portainer and how to connect to standalone systems or clusters and the public cloud platform. I'll have this particular part covering the Docker portion, and in the next couple of parts, I'll show you an example of how to connect to Kubernetes or Nomad cluster. And in one session, I'll be showing you a demo on how to connect to the public cloud platform and utilize the Portainer tool efficiently. So if you look at here, when you install the Portainer, you get the option to go and connect to a local particular Docker environment, a remote Docker system. You can deploy the agent on a particular Docker node, and you can also have connecting to Azure platform, both Azure and Azure ACI. So there are two important switches or flag that you need to be aware of. So if you are going to install it on Linux or Mac, so this is the place where you have to perform, or this is where the Docker environment is going to be running. And similarly, if you want to install the Portainer tool on your Windows, so you have to use this switch. I'll show you how to do that. Similarly, like once after you do that, you'll get an option to manage the Docker environment, Kubernetes environment, and so on. So this is the same flag that I was showing in the previous slide. So let's go and install the Portainer here, okay, without wasting any additional time here. So it's again, the Portainer doesn't need a specific separate VM. You're just going to install it install it as a container again. So the command that we need to run is docker run -- name, and you have to give any name like Portainer or Portainer 01 or whatever name you want to give, you can give it. And you can give the port that you want to expose to the internet from your Docker host. And this is the port that the container will expose. So the container will be open on 9000, and the Docker host can be open on any specific port which is unused. So you can specify whatever port you want to. And I'm doing it on a Linux machine. So that's the reason I'm using this switch, this flag. So this is the same exact thing that I was showing you here. So when you go and run it in GUI, you'll get the same exact message. And I'm going to download it from the Portainer direct GitHub repository. So if you go to the Portainer location, I'll just quickly show you that. So this is the GitHub location for your Portainer. Okay, so if you go here, this is where you get all the latest images and so on. So I'm just going to pull that image from this particular location. Okay, let me try to run the command. So I think there is some particular container that is already in use. So let me go and remove this. There is some conflict with this particular container. I'll just go and say docker remove -force, and then I can just paste that container ID. So it should remove that. Okay, fine. Okay, let me go and run the command again. There should not be any challenges with any conflicting one. Yeah, so now it's starting up. Okay, let me go and look at the IP address of this particular system. Okay, so just give me a minute. I'll pick up the IP address of this particular system from my Azure login. This is a VM running on my Azure account. Okay, and this is the IP address. It is starting with 4 dot. Just a second. So this is the IP address of my Azure system, 40.70.20.174, and I've just given the port number 9000. So this is what I have entered. Okay, and it has opened up this particular console. For the very first time, it will ask you to create an initial administrator user. You can give whatever name you want to, and I can just give the password of my choice. Okay, and I can create the user. This is the first time if you're doing, you have to create a user, and you can also check out the current users, and if you want to add any additional users, you can add, and if you want to connect to a particular location, you can connect to it, and so on. Okay, let me just do that.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so if you look at here, once you log into the first time on the Portainer portal, it gives you an option to go and manage the Docker environment or the Kubernetes environment, or if you want to install an agent, you can go and install the agent. Okay, so I'm just going to manage the Docker environment. So these are the two switches that are available, and let me go and connect to it. Okay, so it shows me that there is a local Docker engine that is running on that particular machine where I'm connected to now, and this is a standalone. And I'll be sharing how to manage the Kubernetes environment in the next session. So I'm just connecting to the local Docker engine here. And if you look at here, it says that there is a stack in this particular machine. There are 11 containers and 15 images and 8 different volumes, 8 different network, and I'm using 2.3 GB of capacity. And if you look at here, these are the images that are not mapped to any of my systems, and these are all unused. And you can see the variant of each of these container and when it got created with the size, and also you get a lot of options. You can go and enable auto refresh, so this screen will get automatically refreshed. And if you want to create a new image, you can also do that. And if you want to import export an image in this particular screen, it will beautifully help you doing all the container management in a graphical way. You can upload the image, or you can pull the image directly from the Docker Hub. Okay, you just need to specify the image name, and it will help you to just quickly download and do it. See, for example, if you go to the next slide, there are multiple images that are there in my machine. Similarly, I've got multiple containers. Some of them are running, some of them are stopped, some of them are just created and running. So you can see that which ports are open on each of these machines. So you can also go and add additional columns if you want to, or remove the columns. You can go and start the container, stop the container. You can manage multiple containers at the same time. You can just do a complete kill, complete restart. If you want to remove them, you can remove it. So you can manage the containers efficiently, even if you have multiple containers running as a stack for an application. For example, stack is nothing but a group of containers for a particular application. So even if you have multiple templates, multiple volumes, everything is visible here with the particular date of creation, who owns it. Even if you want to add volume on that machine, you can do it. This is not just a tool to clean up unwanted things. It can also help you to quickly learn container in a very quick way. So it helps you to create network. It helps you to create volumes. It gives the option to go and select what kind of driver you want to select. A lot of options are there. Even it gives you a detailed view on the different events when the container got started. We just created a Portainer container, right? That is also there. It keeps track of a lot of information when these images got created. It helps you to keep track of a lot of things. Okay, and even if you want to give role-based access control, you can also give role-based access control to other users by creating the users here. Okay, so you can check the container registry. You can also have your own private registry if you want to. So a lot of different things are there. So if you look at here, it gives you option to go and create a GitLab registry, Azure Container Registry, QA, and also you can have your own custom registry. There are a lot of things that you can change. You can use your own custom logo, but a lot of these features might not be available in the community edition. There are a lot of features beyond this which I can show you. Okay, you can connect to multiple hosts. You can get details about the current host details, where exactly the drivers, what driver is being used, and what are the different network plugins that are available. So lots and lots of information are available through the Portainer. And if you think about a lot of environments like Kubernetes environment and the public cloud platform, this will help you to kind of simplify a lot of things. So we are running the community edition, and there is one more edition that is available, which is a kind of business edition. That is what we generally recommend for larger enterprises. If you have a lot of business critical applications running as container, you might have to provide role-based access control to different team managing those containers, and you might also need to provide access to specific registry for specific teams, and there might be dedicated support teams available also. So in such cases, Portainer Business Edition is very helpful, but features and functionality wise, the Portainer Community Edition itself has got a lot of options and easy way to manage your Docker when it is running as a standalone, or when it is managed by a Kubernetes platform, or even the cloud platform. All of these are manageable by both the editions. But only thing is, if you want to run it for a business, then you can go and get the Business Edition, and this is a very powerful tool. Okay, and Portainer is not just for operations team. Even the developers can utilize it to quickly create and integrate it with CI/CD pipelines. The DevSecOps team can also utilize it to have some of the integration with your GitLab, or integration with your Jenkins to kind of quickly deploy the systems. Okay, so the containers here. Okay, so it has got a lot of options. It gives you a lot of API proxy options to go and integrate. It gives you options to go and do a role-based access control for your support teams and so on. Okay, so this gives you a lot of options. You can explore it. I'm also going to share a lot of information in the upcoming session. In part 2 and 3, I'll be showing you how to manage the Docker, which is managed by Kubernetes, and also how to connect to an Azure platform and manage all the Azure container running on the Azure platform. So stay tuned. I'll be showing you how to do that. And you also have different options to manage different container platform running on Linux and Windows. So it gives you a lot of advantage, or a lot of simplified things. You can go and look at which ones are really in use and which ones are not. Okay, so this gives you a very good uh, quick view on your enterprise-wide container landscape. Okay, so thank you for listening, and we'll catch up in a separate session.